All right, board gaming enthusiasts, what are the auto includes, the here and now of the hobby? Or we might say lifestyle. What are those deal breakers or what are those things you're looking for in terms of a board game experience? Now, I'm going to put aside tactics for a moment. I'm going to put aside narrative, the things that I'm looking for. And it's interesting. If you remember, if we look back, there was a time that a hex map and some cardboard counters and a little printout would have been absolutely fine. But then some games started including miniatures, maybe for the main characters, the monsters and the encounters. They were still tokens. Then we get more miniatures. Then we get custom templates. Then we get character sheet holders. This idea, as time has gone on in the hobby, competition being good. And on a side note, I do believe Kickstarter helped really accelerate that. I'm not a big fan of the Kickstarter model in that you either buy all in now for like $600-700 or basically you miss out on everything. But I do have to say that effect on the retail life cycle means things need to be premium. Things are keeping up. As soon as something becomes standard in the board gaming community, the other components, the other board games being pushed out there, you either get on board or not. So the things that I'm looking for within that framework, first is storage. I notice, and I very much appreciate, this used to be a premium thing. Now it's kind of standard, and the recent title that I acquired was Masters of the Universe, Battle for Eternia. Big Masters fan. We'll leave that for another time and place, and certainly we're going to jump into some tactica for this amazing skirmish-based game. But the trays fit all of the components, fit all the miniatures, fit the dice, fit the power cubes, fit the cards. Everything is ready to go. The days of kind of throwing everything in a Fantasy Flight Games box or bagging things up in little baggies, that's done. That's over. We expect premium storage. Storage that is going to organize everything. I don't want to have to spend $100 for a game or whatever retail is going to be, then drop another $100 for an organizer. Everything needs to fit. And we're seeing more and more on that. What I do wonder, this duality of going back a few years. So how long has Gloomhaven been out? And I've been a big Gloomy fan, still playing it, still enjoying it. Gloomhaven packed massive value, insane cardboard value into a box for $100. There is no organization solution whatsoever. There's a couple of basic inserts, but to fit the tiles and the tokens, you're on your own. And you would kind of buy an organizer or you would kind of come up with your own system. I used some foam that I come out, right? Being a wargamer, we've got tons of hard foam, so we're going to cut that out, X-Acto knife it up, hot glue gun, and get it ready to go. So I understand at the time there was a decision, Gloomhaven base or Gloomhaven with an organizer, then raise it through the roof in terms of retail. They went with that. Would Gloomhaven re-release as is? If it was being re-released, would there be some sort of built-in organization solution? I see that as being standard now. Most of the titles that I see come out with some basic, ready to go, everything fits away nicely. And that is very important from my perspective. Also being a completionist and pulling in different expansions, I want to have that organization. So that's something I kind of look for and really, really appreciate. Second to that would be character trays, organizers, dashboards. Now, from that perspective, having your character card and maybe some equipment cards and a little life or experience or health tracker, maybe some way to have the dice next to there. I really appreciate that, especially when you're playing a game, and bigger absolutely is better. I mean, I love table hogs. I love a board gaming experience where it's just massive possibilities out on the table. But in terms of managing your character, having that dashboard, having that ability to have everything contained and the cards, that's really big, especially in a multiplayer game where everyone is playing next to you to help facilitate moving cards or swapping gear or acquiring gear. I really appreciate that dashboard. old school games where it's just kind of, here's your character card, here's your equipment cards, here's your tokens, here's your dice, and you just kind of pile it anywhere and one falls on the floor and you forget it and you find it later. Just, I think that's more and more standard. There needs to be some sort of dashboard. Now let's jump into the rules. Rules depends on what you're looking for. Are you looking for something that's beer and pretzel? Are you looking for something that's deep campaign play? Are you looking for tactics? How tight should the rules be? And of course, the narrative lets you overlook some of that. If it's a narrative that you really enjoy or a game title that you really enjoy, then you might overlook if the rules are a little bit sloppy in some areas. Likewise, if you're looking and saying, well, I'm looking only from a rules perspective, you want to be really, really tight rules. So I push that aside and say one of the things that I'm looking for is either campaign play or replayability. I mean, look, I'd like everything, but from that perspective, multiple missions that I can play, and it has replayability in terms of multiple characters. So maybe this mission uses 4 characters and I have 16 in total that I can pull from, different monsters to spawn, different tactics. So even though it's the same mission and maybe I've played it or scenario, I've played it 4 or 5 or 6 times, there's enough variety plus the randomness that it's going to be fresh and exciting every single time. I either need that or, like Gloomhaven, no spoilers, a massive, massive campaign that by the time I finish the campaign, I'm ready to start over, and I don't even remember much of the campaign from when I started, and I mean that from a good thing. So I want to see campaign play or replayability, and or if I can get both. But another thing that's more and more important is this idea of co-op play and AI play. I think we're getting to the point where that is a standard pack-in. Some games being player versus player, that works. And certain titles, if I'm playing Game of Thrones, then yeah, we're going to go head to head. If I'm playing kind of a board game that's really a war game, yeah, we're going to go head to head. But I prefer war games and board games that are cooperative in nature. I want to sit down with you. I want to sit down with some new friends. I want to roll some dice, flip some cards, have some fun, go for tabletop glory. So games that we can play together as a team, that really captures my attention. And layered over that, I want AI. I want AI for solo play. So this way, it's truly a game type system where I can sit down with you and some friends and we can play. And maybe one player controls the monsters if it's something like Hero Quest or Descent. Or maybe it's the cards kind of generating random monsters and scenarios and we play it through. But then I want to be able to, just on my own downtime, go completely analog, sit down and play the game from an AI perspective. Certainly certain games that don't have AI built in, you can kind of randomize things or make some decisions. But I appreciate a true AI system, or I should say a functional AI system. Some AI systems are obviously better than others, but I think more and more games are developing now where players are saying, is there solo play? I mean, that's a massive part of the board gaming hobby. Can I invest in this title, especially if you're looking at it and saying, okay, we're going to jump in on the Kickstarter. Look, core box is $80. Core box is $80, right? $20 off retail. And I get some Kickstarter bonuses. Like, that's good. That's really awesome. But then you look and you say, well, these are other exclusives. If I don't get in on it now, either they're not going to be available at retail or they're going to go to retail, but then in a year or two be out, sold out. So I got to get them. Okay, I need season 1, season 2, season 3, $30 a piece. I need the expansion pack. I need the character X pack. I need the monster pack. Next thing you know, it's like, Grail, you're in for like $600-700. It's crazy. So from that perspective, if I'm going all in, not just on a board game, but on a system, it's got to have AI. It's got to have solo play that I don't have to homebrew or play against myself or figure things out. I don't need it to be like, I'd like it to be, I don't need it to be like Kingdom Death Monster AI, but I need a functional solo element of it. Those are the things, of course, in addition to the narrative and if there's other titles that came out before it that was really good, all those things factor into it. But I think now, more than ever, if it doesn't have some sort of inbuilt organization, if it doesn't have good replayability, either in terms of mission, scenarios, or campaign, and if it doesn't have an AI capacity to it, then I think it's somewhat lacking. Would I still be paying for a data plan on my phone? No, everything is rolled in. So I think more and more you're going to see in the board gaming hobby, as these things become full standard, it's going to seem odd. It's going to seem out of place if they don't have it. So board gaming enthusiasts agree, disagree, and one, maybe two, maybe three things that for you, you're like, hey, these are auto includes. If I'm looking at a title, this is just where we are in the evolution of board games. It needs to include this, and this.